Prime Minister sends a warning to criminals. Barbados' new bishop consecrated. And Ruston Chase bowls the Windies to a massive win over England.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you with a Saturday, January 26th edition of the CBC Evening News. I'm Ryan Broom in our top story. Barbadians will not be held hostage in their own country. This stern warning from Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley against the backdrop of the recent spate of violence. Our Sharika Griffith has that story.
It may take a day, a week, or a year, but Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley has vowed that Barbados' crime problem will be resolved. In an address at the Parliament compound, the Prime Minister expressed concern about the level of violence in the country, which included 8 murders so far this year. Ms. Motley has put those responsible on notice. It will not be tolerated.
If people are so consumed and so much in love with guns, then they should ask me to ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs to find a warsome part of the world that we can allow them to go and be part of. But what they must not begin to believe, walk about Barbados with guns and walk about shooting people any part of this country. Not about here. I want to repeat myself, not about here. And if that is what they want to do, then they must understand that we love every Bajan, but you're going to feel the full weight of the law.
The Prime Minister also revealed that government would be establishing an anti-corruption and counter-terrorism entity, which will supplement the work of the police.
It is not going to be a huge agency, but it is critical that people come to work every day to fight corruption, because that is part and parcel of the cancer of what we are fighting in this country with respect to matters that I think the Commissioner, as far back as 3 years ago, pointed out to the difficulties that they have experienced with respect to the port and other areas with respect to guns coming in. We need to get on top of these issues institutionally first to be able to go forward.
Prime Minister Motley believes the failure to promote deserving officers in the police force, despite recommendations from the Commissioner of Police, has helped to weaken that institution. She says government will be fast-tracking plans to establish a Protective Services Commission.
What you have in Barbados is that you have large numbers of people, but all of the recommendations for leave, discipline, promotion, etc., coming through a pipeline that's like a 1/4-inch pipe, but you're getting 12 inches of material coming at you at the same time. And therefore, the length of time for processing, even payments for people, as you know, or vacations or acting appointments or whatever, are all constrained because they all have to go through the Chief Personnel Officer's office, which is too small. What we are proposing is a system that first and foremost divides up the weight among different services commission and then puts the appropriate conduits in terms of the executive staff to process all of these things in a more timely fashion.
The Prime Minister says draft legislation is already with the Chief Parliamentary Council. General reform of other services commissions will follow in the next 3 to 4 months. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. Well, meanwhile, Attorney General Dale Marshall is reassuring Barbadians that the current crime situation has the full attention of the police force. Now, while not divulging any operational details, the Attorney General did reveal the force will be getting help from at least one other agency.
It's not well known that they've been asked and have given up 2 off days out of every month so as to make sure that the Royal Barbados Police Force has more bodies, more man-hours available to help to deal with this issue. In addition to that, the Chief of Staff of the BDF has today agreed to make available to this particular effort as many as 80 of his officers to join the members of the police force on the ground, and he's also pledged the availability of vehicles in order to be able to increase the police presence, the presence of our armed forces on the ground, and to ensure Barbadians, through that heightened visibility, that they're on the job.
In other news now, the Anglican Church of Barbados has welcomed its new bishop, Michael Bruce St. John Maxwell. He was officially declared bishop following a consecration service at a packed Wilde Gymnasium this evening. Bishop Maxwell succeeds the Most Reverend Dr. John Holder, who retired as Bishop and Archbishop of the West Indies last February.
I, Michael Bruce St. John Maxwell, chosen Bishop of the Church and See of Barbados, solemnly declare that I do believe the Holy Scriptures of the Old and New Testaments to be the Word of God, and to contain all things necessary to salvation. I do solemnly promise to conform to the doctrine, discipline, and worship of the Church in the province of the West Indies. And I do pledge myself to render due obedience to the Archbishop of the West Indies and to his successors. So help me God, through Jesus Christ.
Now, in delivering the sermon, friend and president of the Standing Committee in the Diocese of Southeast Florida, the Reverend Dr. Anthony Holder, says Bishop Maxwell was indeed chosen by God.
Michael, all your life, all you have ever known is either being a preacher's kid or being a priest yourself. You have lived, breathed, seen the priesthood all your life. You were born into a priestly ministry, and you followed in your father's footsteps. Now you are transitioning into a new role and embarking on another aspect of your journey in this life, being that of a bishop.
Bishop Maxwell will be formally enthroned on Monday at the Cathedral of St. Michael and All Angels. Well, cricket fans this evening are no doubt celebrating the Windies' victory over England in the just concluded Test match at Kensington Oval. But for some people, the game is about more than a contest between the two teams. It's a business opportunity. Well, there's been thousands of people here on the ground at Kensington Oval for cricket. But what has that meant for sales for the business people? We checked it out. While most of the action was on the inside on the field of play, there was also activity of a different variety for small business people plying their trade outside the ground. And for one set of craft and jewelry vendors, the sales were just okay.
The atmosphere, they had a lot of traffic, but in terms of spending and buying, I find it was kind of slow, not as good as the last time they were here. But all in all, we like when the British come and play cricket here. But in terms of making money, it wasn't really much. I don't know, maybe it's the economy, maybe it's the value of the pound, maybe. I ain't too sure, but I believe the value of the pound, maybe that's the problem.
Meanwhile, the owner of the Kensington-based The House Bar and Grill, Kimberly Neblett, had a different experience.
It was pretty busy. The sales was good, can't complain. Had a lot of tourists. We had the Barmy Army here the whole week, so that was good.
And we also found one of the Barmy Army's newest recruits, Richard, who was definitely happy to be enjoying good food and, of course, good drinks.
We're part of the Barmy Army. We've enjoyed ourselves. The cricket's been okay. The drinking's been better. The run's been very good. Thank you very much, guys.
Now, we were also able to make our way inside the Oval and into the Sandals Hospitality Suite to find out from Public Relations Manager for Sandals Barbados, David Hines, how business has been for one of the island's biggest hotel brands.
We've had a very good winter season so far. This is really the part of the icing on the cake, the English Test Series. A lot of our guests have been coming down, enjoying our hospitality box as well as patronizing the other stands. All in all, no complaints from our end as Sandals.
Certainly a mixed bag of business for all concerned on a day the West Indies outplayed England for a comprehensive victory.